Change is the only constant. It's the only thing that we're ever guaranteed in life. Yet it's also a paradox because we crave growth but resist the very thing that brings it, and that's change. In this video today, we're going to cover the philosophical learnings from different cultures that help us to understand and remind us of how to deal and embrace changes into our lives, how it connects to the modern manifestation world, neuroscience, and even the universe at large itself. I'll also go over some practical tips, journal prompts, and affirmations tailored for dealing with changes in your life, so be sure to stick around for that. There's two main kinds of changes. There's external change, which encompasses changes in an environment, circumstances, people coming in and out of your life, moving cities, countries, losing jobs, etc. Pretty much everything that goes on in the material world outside of us. And then there's internal change, which encompasses personal growth, self-improvement, growing out of old habits, changes in beliefs, mindset shifts, maturity, learning from past mistakes, not repeating the same patterns, etc. Everything that goes on inside in your internal realm and internal world. Both are interconnected, where external changes can trigger internal transformation and internal shifts then can reshape your external world. For instance, a breakup can prompt inner healing, and that internal work can then reshape your external reality. So for example, if you're working on setting new boundaries or developing new habits, then that internal change is going to attract a better quality of relationships that is more aligned with the phase of your life that you're in now. And I've read about this idea of embracing change in many different ways. That's what I want to head into, so let's just dive right in. One of the places where I've learned to deal with change is through Sufi wisdom. Sufism is this movement in Islam which back in the day, in some of the ancient times, really focuses on looking and finding God within and throughout us. And I got introduced to this through this book, 40 Rules of Love, which is a story of the relationship between Shams and Rumi, who were both spiritual seekers in Persia back in the day. And there's so much lore to cover here. If you're really interested in learning about Sufi wisdom, or if it interests you, definitely look it up. I can also make a separate video on it if you're interested, but I just want to dive right into the rule, or one of the rules that Shams is continuously talking about in this book. And this is rule number 13. Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. And do not worry that your life is turning upside down. How do you know that the side you are used to is better than the one to come? I'm going to read that again. Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. And do not worry that your life is turning upside down. How do you know that the side you are used to is better than the one to come? My perception is that this rule talks about acceptance, surrender, and flow to welcome the changes of life, for one doesn't always know the certain possibility of what life can become. One of my personal reflections regarding this is from 2022, where I resisted change at first, but then realized with time that that was exactly what I needed. This was in summer of 2022. I had just graduated from college. I was about to take this job in healthcare tech, move hundreds and hundreds of miles away from all the friends and family that I knew and had at the time. Also had broken up with my long-term college girlfriend at the time. So in that span of just like a couple of months, so many big shifts and big changes happened that naturally my body was more in survival mode and focusing on resisting the changes and trying to keep some sort of same kind of habits or routines from the previous time or from like the previous phase of my life. So I tried to hold on to the same friends. I still stayed in contact with my ex-girlfriend, and I just resisted it so much. Not just the job itself too, because I was like, oh, I hate this job, etc., etc., but the area, the people. And now in hindsight, with time, it really became another home. And I have such fond memories of my time at Epic and making the friends that I did there. The only reason that this worked out, or one of the reasons that it worked out, was because I continued to let go of my past, which opened me up for the present moment. And as I let go of my friendships and attachment to past people, past experiences, the more I opened myself up and made space for new experiences to come into my life, new friendships, new relationships, new opportunities. This Sufi wisdom is, constant reminder of embracing change and looking at it from a positive outlook is necessary, because you truly don't know if your life turning upside down is something that's going to bring changes that are way better than how your life is currently now. And this wisdom on embracing change also connects to Bhagavad Gita's teaching of karma yoga. Bhagavad Gita is this spiritual text from Indian culture and Indian it's part of the Hinduism religion in some way, but at the end, or at its core, the Bhagavad Gita itself it's a spiritual text that is basically a conversation between the Supreme God, Krishna, and one of his disciples, Arjun, who is having this inner conflict and does not know how to go about a certain event in life that's transpiring. And the book is basically just a raw conversation between Krishna and Arjun and how you can deal with the troubles in your life. If you're interested in learning more about the Gita, let me know in the comments below. Could make a whole separate video on that, or check out some of my past videos, or just look it up on Google. But the key idea that I really want to hit on from the Gita is the concept of karma yoga, which says or guides us to perform our duties, our work, our responsibilities, and letting go of the fruits of our actions. Almost always, it's the attachment we hold that leads to our pain and disappointment. In this particular case of change, attachment to specific outcomes or specific results can create anxiety about embracing that change and wanting to hold on to the stability or the comfort that you have right now. Accepting change means releasing attachment, and embracing action from a place of purpose, duty, and responsibility. One of my personal reflections on this, where I took action without obsessing over the results and actually ended up achieving something greater than I ever even imagined, was back in summer 2021. I was in undergrad at the time, applying to research programs for the summer so I could get experience, so I can get a good research job after graduation, etc. And I basically got rejected from all the research programs that I applied to. So I was in April and May time of 2021, and I didn't have anything for the summer. I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do? And instead of just like sitting around or just wondering, literally like a week or 2 weeks later, after I found out about all my rejections, I was like, I'm just gonna start cold emailing scientists without any expectations, try to meet with them, try to get their input, their advice, and ask them if there's any projects that they have that I could work on for free, and like find funding outside, like somehow figure that shit out. And I didn't limit myself to thinking about a particular outcome, and I just kept on cold emailing and meeting with scientists that one of them ended up saying yes, and she was a deputy principal investigator for a space exploration mission called Dragonfly. And honestly, like that experience literally changed the course and my career of my research journey. Like, not only was that the first substantial project that I worked on that enhanced my skills, introduced me to someone who is a leader in the space exploration industry and working so closely with her, but also that project ended up turning into a published paper that ended up being a big part of my application for graduate schools. Like, to think about that in hindsight, it's so humbling, and so like I just have so much gratitude for that experience. But back in that time in April, May 2021, when I was cold emailing scientists, I never imagined, I never thought about it turning into like publishing a paper before I even go into grad school. And that's probably one of the first times where I saw the magic of, and can now recognize the magic of, putting in the fucking work while letting go of any expectations on the results or the outcome. And these core ideas also tie into Stoic philosophies that we learn from ancient Greece. If you haven't heard, Stoicism is a branch that teaches us to focus on what we can control, which is our thoughts, actions, or attitudes, while letting go of everything else that we don't control. So it's about staying calm and grounded no matter what life throws at us. And this is what ancient Greek philosophers were pondering on, thinking about, and then we still continue to learn from this ancient wisdom, dude. It's honestly so grounding and humbling to think about that advice from back in the day still applies to us and can help us lead more meaningful and more purposeful lives. Sometimes I think that we've we've forgotten some of the old wisdom that was imparted to us because of the rise of social media. And anyways, that's a tangent. I'm gonna come back to that in a different video. But Stoicism, or this idea of focusing on what we can control while letting go of what we can't, means that embracing change is about controlling what is truly in our power, and that's our thoughts, our beliefs, our reactions, our actions, our habits, while letting go of what isn't in our control, and that's the outcome or a specific result. That really is the core idea here. Learning to redirect your focus to what you can control while surrendering the things that you can't control to a higher power. This philosophical acceptance of change from different historical perspectives is exactly what's also now a part of modern manifestation practices. Modern manifestation encompasses the idea that your thoughts, your beliefs, your energy can shape your reality. That what you focus on internally will somehow and eventually show up in your external world. So it's rooted in practices like visualizations, affirmations, trusting the process, with the key being to align yourself with what you want while letting go of how and when that's actually going to happen. That part is the crucial nuance here. Manifestation and law of attraction are powerful when you're visualizing clearly. However, the magic happens in the unknown, when you detach from the when and the how. And that's probably what you'll hear in a lot of the videos that you watch on manifestation or in the world of Joe Dispenza. One of my biggest learnings over the past few years of moving around to different places, traveling to other countries, trying out many different projects in science, content creation, beyond that, trying out different businesses, working in industry, moving to academia for graduate school. Like, all these different experiences, one of the core learnings for me has been that internal alignment, internal change precedes external manifestation. A change in belief or mindset is necessary and what sets up the external environment. You have to be able to visualize something in your head before it can become a reality. That's how every idea starts. That's how every business starts. That's how every research project starts. Someone thinks it in the head and then brings it into existence. You gotta see it here, you gotta believe it with your heart, and then have the courage to speak it out loud and speak it into existence. That alignment is where manifestation begins. And in a way, I was thinking when I was scripting this video that this alignment is hitting the crux of the three higher level chakras, which the crown chakra, top of the head, your throat chakra, and the heart chakra, and you need them to be open in order to manifest or in order to create something. But most people in the Western world, especially, or I guess throughout the world, when you're stuck in survival mode, you can't open up these higher level chakras because your energy is mostly focused on the survival chakras, which are like located at the base of the spine, a little bit above it, and then solar plexus. Like that's where most people's energy is stuck, but you have to like move it and bring it up, and that's where meditations come in. Can talk more about this in a different video as well, because I wanted to segue into the neuroscience and what the science behind surrender looks like, or just the basic gist of it. So neuroscience tells us that the human brain is wired to adapt to new things, which is something that we have inherited from evolutionary biology. Our brain rewires itself in response to new experiences, thoughts, and habits. Change can feel threatening at first, biologically, like throughout the body, because our brain craves predictability and wants to keep firing the same set of neuronal pathways. Yet, it is also capable of infinite renewal and creating new neural pathways as well. That's the idea of neuroplasticity in neuroscience. Every new belief you choose to embody creates a new neural pathway. And the more you practice embodying that same belief, that pathway in your brain gets stronger and becomes more of a habit, a routine, and more natural. Believing in this possibility, believing in surrender, growth, that's what builds that mind-body alignment that the manifestation world also talks about. Like when you're meditating, you're priming your brain, you're priming your body for an experience that it will naturally attract, and you're basically just opening yourself up to attract that experience. When you resist changes in life, it activates a fear response in our monkey brains. And I call it monkey brain because we think we're humans and we've evolved so much, and to an extent we have, but the way our brains have evolved, we haven't fully stepped out of our monkey brain habits just yet. Like we can easily train and hijack our brain through certain things. Like social media has done this to us, where things like scrolling and tapping and clicking around just come naturally to us now. Like you would do it without even thinking. Like that's one of the examples that I would use to say why I think we still have like monkey brains, And when you're resisting changes in general activate the amygdala, which is a part of the brain that plays a crucial role in processing emotions, specifically fear and anxiety. So it's a survival part of our brain, and it's normal for us to feel anxious and uncertain in times of those uncertainty. But as you breathe through this, you bring awareness to this pattern, and you just let those feelings pass and just spread throughout your body. That's when your prefrontal cortex starts to re-engage. And this is the part of your brain that's responsible for a higher level executive functioning, like problem solving, planning, creating, visualizing, etc. And all in all, this culminates some of the science that we've studied in neuroscience, at least, behind surrendering and letting go of control to embrace change. So remember that change feels hard because you're evolving, because you're learning something new. And all of these ideas that we've discussed so far, are also reflected on grander scales beyond just humans, beyond just Earth, like on a cosmic scale. Like this is inherently a part of our universe. The universe is built on constant change. Stars are born, they burn up, they die, creating supernovas that literally make room for new stars to be born. In a way, our very existence depends on this cosmic cycle of destruction and renewal, something that's part of spiritual beliefs as well. Just like stars must collapse to become something new, our identities and chapters have to collapse to give way to something greater at times and different phases of our life. You've heard of the saying that we're made of stardust, and that's a saying because the materials, the molecules, the atoms that we're made of, that humans and life on Earth is made of, was at one point part of a star and manufactured in a star. And then it's just same materials that were recycled same materials that were recycled throughout, I don't know, millions and billions of years. So we're basically built from the remnants of change. And in a way, humans are the universe manifesting itself to perceive itself, naturally evolving. Another example that I just want to quickly include here, which very much relates to my PhD research, is how planetary shifts can enable life, or how it did for Earth. So in Earth's history, Earth became habitable through massive geological shifts and atmospheric changes that ended up creating the right conditions for life to emerge. And the shakeups in our lives now are exactly what enable the next stage of evolution. Coming back to Earth, discussing all these different topics, let's talk about some practical actions that you can use to continue to deal with changes in your life. Starting with some mindfulness practices, awareness is really key. Recognizing that you have a certain thought pattern, or you having that fear response that comes to changes. When you feel resistance, or you feel like you're getting annoyed by something that didn't work out your way, recognize it, name it. Say something like, this is the fear of uncertainty. This is grief for something that's not meant to be a part of my life anymore. Or an affirmation like, I'm exactly where I need to be. In practice, you take a few breaths and you ask yourself, what is this experience trying to teach me? What can I learn from this? Another strategy that can be helpful is journaling, of course. I mean, if you watch my videos, you know I'm a big proponent for journaling, something I've been doing for the past 7+ years now. And some of the prompts that I think we can use to uncover more of these barriers in our mind regarding change is, what am I resisting right now and why? What emotions come up when I think about this particular change? What am I afraid to let go of? Who am I becoming because of this shift? What do I know now that I didn't before this change began? These are some of the line of thoughts that I personally have went through several times in my life, every time I'm moving from one place to another, starting a new chapter of my life. And these are not easy questions to answer, so when you are going through this process of trying even, you bring certain thoughts and experiences into your awareness that can help you to move through this change and really extract learnings from it so you can grow, rather than trying to fight or resist the change to hold on to what was. Some simple mantras or affirmations here that you can use or remind yourself of is, life is flowing through me. I am safe in the unknown. I trust life to unfold for my highest good. It is always working out in my favor, whether I see it or not. I release control and welcome transformation. Reflect on your own life changes. Consider the perspective of, what if the shift you're experiencing is exactly what you asked for, just arriving differently than you had imagined? Maybe life didn't get it wrong, bro. Like, maybe it just got creative. Maybe it gave you more than you ever even asked for or imagined. You just have to open your mind and open your heart. And that's really the takeaway message here. Let life live through you. Let change do its work on you. It's not here to break you, it's here to guide you. It's here to shape you into who you're meant to become. So embrace it with open eyes, open mind, and an open heart. That is where I will wrap up this video. If you made it this far into it, I just want to say I appreciate you so much and thank you for tuning in. Please, please, please let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed these kinds of videos, and I'll continue to work on brainstorming how I can connect different learnings that I've got from different sources, like different books or different philosophies or different people and even science, and like putting it all together. Like, this is, I don't know, recording this video, my last video, it really feels, it feels aligned, and I'm glad and grateful to be finally putting out content that not only that I care about, but I feel like is so creative in some sense, finding these different learnings and connecting it, and to think that they're from different cultures, different backgrounds, like it's just so exciting. And it takes a lot of time and effort to prep these scripts and record the videos and whatnot, but such a fun process. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.